Doesn't bother me. It just seemed dark and need a light on. There we go. It's too bright. Too bright.
Yeah.
Good evening. I'm going to call to order the Plan Commission of the City of West Bend. It is Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024. More than 24 hours in advance of this meeting. Notice of the... What am I doing wrong? How's this one? A little bit of an echo still.
You guys have sound in here? Yeah, it's a reverb. Oh, that's weird. All right, maybe it's on my end then. Let me go check.
Yep.
I'm going to continue talking anyway. Notice of the time, place, date, and subject matter of this meeting was posted in accordance to Wisconsin state statutes, and I will invite you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Sounds like we're in the Pfizer Forum tonight. We're going to try to figure out what the echo is going on. It's kind of annoying, so see if we can figure that out. I was hoping for somewhat of a quick meeting tonight. Now we're getting delayed a little bit, but I'll keep talking so maybe they can figure it out here if it turns off. Testing, 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Who wants to hear about my day today? My day was great.
The weather still kind of sucks.
Weather stinks, you know. Clouds did a good job overnight, keeping schools open today, which was nice. Testing.
Garbage was picked up on schedule.
Garbage was picked up on schedule this morning. Testing. Is that better?
Yep.
There we go.
Good.
Yep.
Good. We got it figured out, I think, Jay. Sounds good. Thank you. Before we get started tonight, I want to introduce a new member of our team to the City of West Bend. John Fellows is our new Director of Community Development. He starts on Monday, next week Monday. He is here with us tonight. And so I want to introduce John and ask John to tell us a little bit about your background, and welcome to the City of West Bend.
Sure, thank you very much. So my name is John Fellows. A little bit about my background. I've been working in the planning world for at least 27 years. Worked in a variety of different communities in Wisconsin. I worked in Glendale and Mukwonago and Menominee Falls. I also worked in South Carolina for Columbia, which is the state capital there, for about 10 years and ran the department down there. So I have a lot of different experiences that I bring to the position, which I'm really excited about. I'm excited about all the things happening here in West Bend, the things that are being planned for the future and all of that. So I'm pretty excited to start on Monday. So looking forward to getting to know all of you a little bit better.
Thank you, John. Welcome to the team.
Thank you.
We look forward to having you start officially on Monday with the city, and then you'll be at our May Plan Commission meeting sitting right here. So we look forward to that.
That's what I've been told. All right, great. Thanks.
Thanks. All right, our first item of business tonight is the approval of the Plan Commission meeting minutes from March 5th, 2024. I'll take a motion.
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Paul and Chris. Any comments, questions, discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move into development proposals tonight. Some conditional use permits. Conditional use 24-001. This is a public hearing for a request for a conditional use permit to allow for a restaurant. Delicatessen, thank you. In the B5 Neighborhood Office and Service District located at 411 North River Road by Eaton's Fresh Pizza is the applicant. So this is a public hearing, and at this point in time, we will invite anyone from the public to address the Plan Commission tonight on this topic.
Motion to close public hearing.
Thank you, Chris.
Second.
Thank you, Justice. All in favor of closing the public hearing, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll then move on to a public hearing for a request to amend the existing conditional use permit to operate a food truck located at 5.
Should do an action item first for the conditional use.
Thank you. We need to approve the conditional use of the 411 North River Road by Eaton's Pizza to allow for a restaurant delicatessen in the B5 neighborhood office.
Motion to approve.
Thank
Second.
you, Justice. Second by Scott. So this is now approving the conditional use of that location. All in favor, please signify, excuse me, any comments, questions? Go ahead.
Jim doesn't want to say anything, or?
I can give a real quick brief for this. So the conditional use for this is due to the zoning that's out there for the B5. In order for them to operate the restaurant use and delicatessen use for this, will require a conditional use permit to be approved by the commission. Really what we're looking for is that it's an appropriate fit for that zoning district along with the surrounding areas and the impact of the area. The area within there is all pretty, for the most part, either B1 commercial or it's M2 heavy industrial. So the impact to the neighborhood is very minimal. We have adequate parking out there for the development, along with access. The building is being subdivided for 2 tenants in there, one for financial use and one for their use. So the actual uses won't conflict for peak times for the development. They're looking at operating Monday through Friday, or I should say every day of the week from 11 a.m. to 8. And again, they're going to have some building alterations that they will have to do, and appropriate permits would need to be applied for and approved by building inspection prior to starting. So we would recommend approval of the conditional use with the listed conditions. And then also the conditional use was notified to the people within 200 feet, and we've had no comments, concerns, or questions regarding it.
Yes, Mike.
They're confident that a semi could turn around in that parking lot?
So I talked to the owner, and he said that their deliveries are non-semi deliveries. They are planning on eventually probably doing some site improvements, which would require a site plan approval. And one of the improvements would be parking lot improvements.
Any more questions, discussion? I know there's representatives here. Anything you guys want to address to the Plan Commission? We've got a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Congratulations. Our next is a public hearing for a request to amend the existing conditional use permit to operate a food truck located at 575 West Paradise Drive by, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Taqueria Oaxaca?
Oaxaca.
Oaxaca. Thank you. The applicant is Menards, and the agent is Taqueria Oaxaca. I'm still saying it wrong, I'm sorry.
Close enough.
So this is a public hearing. I would invite anyone from the public to address the Plan Commission on this topic.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Thank you, Justice and Jed. All in favor of closing the public hearing, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll now take action on that, and I'll turn that over to you, Jim.
Real quick brief on this one. So we approved originally a conditional use back in July of 2018. There was a barbecue trailer that was operating the food vendor there. They set parameters for that. They're no longer there, and the new applicants actually wanted to expand the hours of operation. So really what we're requesting for is a change of hours of operation, to go every day of the week. During the business hours that Menards is open from 8 in the morning until 9 at night, Monday through Saturday, and then on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. for those operations. Again, this would just be a modify the original ones where before it was only open from May to October. Now we want to go year round and also operate within the hours of operations of Menards. So the vending truck would not be operating outside of the hours of Menards operations. So staff would recommend approval of the conditional use with the listed conditions.
Thank you, Jim. I'll take a motion to put this on the floor. Paul, thank you.
Second?
I was going to make a question.
Would you mind making a motion?
I'll move.
Move, thank you, Paul.
Second.
Second, Mike. Go ahead with your
So since Taqueria Oaxaca took over the space from the barbecue vendor, I'm assuming we've had no infractions, no complaints, no concerns?
No, yeah, so we noticed everyone again within 200 feet. We've had no comments or concerns regarding the use. The reason why this actually did come up is because they were operating outside of the original hours and that. So as we noticed that it was happening, we contacted Menards, and then they put us in contact with the vendor. So they came in for the request to actually modify everything to bring it back into compliance.
Thank you. Jeff?
I don't have any issue with this, but I have a question. When there is a food truck that is going to be operating with these many hours, what do we say to a brick and mortar restaurant that says, well, we're having to compete with a truck, but we have to maintain a brick and mortar establishment?
Yeah, there have been discussions with that, and there really isn't, the idea with these was with the conditional use, to allow the flexibility for the hours. They may not be there for the full hours and that. Again, it's all depending on, the request of the vendor and that. So in this case, they were looking at, have the most flexibility for arriving and leaving with the site and that. So, but yeah, there really isn't a good answer about, the hours of operation.
Okay.
Any more questions? How about the trash receptacles? Who's responsible for that?
So the way the conditional use is written up is that they're responsible for removal of trash and keeping the site clean around the area where the food vendor is. And so that would run with the property. So if there's infractions with that brings grounds for terminating or suspending the conditional use. So it's actually on the vendor that's there to maintain the area.
Any more questions, discussion?
Do we have other food trucks operating with those kind of extended hours too? Do you know?
We do. Actually, the Fleet Farm site has pretty much the same thing.
Okay.
They have it set up for one vendor during, again, hours of operations are concurrent with the Fleet Farm hours.
Okay.
And that, because they're using their facilities for restrooms and whatnot.
Okay.
Justice?
Would it be worth establishing an ordinance specifically for that situation?
I mean, if the commission would find it,
Well, because it's twice now, you know what I mean? So
right, but
it
these
seems
are
like that could-
accessory uses for the property. I
Yeah.
mean, we have about, I think, 3 areas that actually have the conditional uses for the food truck vendors. And
Okay.
it's always, they have it set up as an accessory for if someone wants to come in there and vend on behalf or as a part of their main
Almost
business.
seems to be functioning beyond accessory though, doesn't it? Or not really?
It depends.
No need to
I mean, we
complicate it.
limit the
It's
number
okay.
of them.
Yeah, I've just-
so it's
just
not
posed
that
a
we
question.
have multiple food trucks at the same time. It's not that we're creating a food truck, I guess, court or whatever.
Yeah.
So everything that we've done has been limited to one truck, specific hours, specific locations and stuff like
If
that.
it's not causing a problem, yeah, then I guess no big deal. I don't have a problem with it either.
Sure.
By the way, I'm not saying that at all. It just seems like it might keep happening. It might be worth having a.
Sure, it was intended more for the areas that can support, being able to have, or I don't want to say losing parking spaces, but, having accessory uses there and having enough ample parking, ample circulation, that it.
So that's kind of a minimal.
More for the bigger
Scenarios,
sites,
yeah,
correct,
yeah.
and again, they have to be located in areas where we do allow the restaurants use as a permitted use in the base zoning area also.
Sure. Okay.
And so that's why it's really listed in the B1 districts.
Yeah. Okay.
Justice, was your thing about the ordinance an extension of my question?
Kinda. Yeah.
So I was kind of thinking it over after I said what I said, and it's more of a city council political issue than a land use issue, which is what we're here for.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
From a land use issue, it fits.
Yeah.
And the other thing would be more of a political thing.
Yeah. Okay. All good.
Any more discussion, questions? We've got a motion on the floor. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. We'll move on to site plans tonight. Site Plan 23-007, a site plan for a 40,000 square foot manufacturing facility located east of River Road and south of Forge Place by Kettle Moraine Metal Products as the applicant and designed to construct as the agent.
So this site plan is actually, it's a revision to the original site plan that we had back in May of 2023. The Plan Commission conditionally approved a manufacturing site plan for 75,000 square feet. The developer has actually requested and sent in revised plans for a modification to reduce the building size to 40,000 square feet for their facility for phase one construction. The property is zoned M2, which is entailed for the heavy industrial. The main changes for this development is that A, the building got smaller, and then B, they've changed some of the circulation patterns for locations for screened refuse and for the loading dock areas. The loading docks originally were on the south side of the building. Now they've been moved over to the west side of the building. And screened refuse and material storage has been shifted to the south side of the building. The site plan does identify future building expansions for both the building and the parking lot, and separate approvals for those expansions would be required prior to the construction of those. Access still remains off of Forge Place, and 32 parking stalls are being provided for the development. Stormwater management is still required and has to be submitted, but the design concepts have been designed to send the stormwater to the regional pond to the west of this development. Signage is proposed on the building and complies to location. Prior to installing that, we'll have to have detailed sign submittals for those. The architectural building elevations, the materials have pretty much remained the same. It's still going to be a precast building with a combination of light gray, dark gray, and blue for the color combinations. And the east and south walls are a prefabbed, or I should say, are a panel system that's designed to be the expandable areas for their building addition. Staff would recommend approval of the site plan with the listed conditions.
Thanks, Jim. Is there a
Motion to approve.
Thank you,
Second.
Justice. Thank you, Paul. Motion to approve by Justice, second by Paul. Any comments, questions, discussion?
So it looks like, Jim, the expansion is but the potential to be up to 64,000, is that what?
The two expansion areas
there's
for
two. Okay,
another
what am I missing?
124,000.
Ah,
So you got 100,000 to the east and then another 24 to the south.
okay, I misunderstood that. Okay, gotcha. Nice.
Any other comments, questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. We'll move on to the 2020 Comprehensive Plan. A couple of items for discussion and recommendation to set public hearings. The first one is a change in the recommended land use from commercial to family residential and multifamily residential to industrial, single-family residential, two-family residential, and multifamily residential. In the 2020 Comprehensive Plan for the City of West Bend, for approximately 19 acres of land located approximately 600 feet east of South Main and south of West Progress Drive by the City of West Bend. Jim, I'll turn that to you as well.
Thank you. So tonight, we're requesting the commission to consider a change in our land use plan. This 19 acres has recently changed ownership. So the new property owner has stopped by our office and to discuss the land use patterns for this. The original land use pattern that we had for this area, again, was based on the need and the best use at the time that we had from when we did the 2020 plan. The original proposals had commercial along the north end of the property and a little bit more on the west. Then we transitioned to a multifamily use and then to a two-family use, and then transitioned to the existing single-family subdivision. The new property owner is actually requesting to modify some of the land uses in the area. For the most part, it's going to be, it will remain somewhat the same with the transitioning that we've envisioned from the previous plan. They're requesting the industrial on the north half. This is consistent with the industrial that we just did to the west of this property, and it also ties into the industrial park to the east. They're also looking at modifying some of the residential uses in that area too. So they're requesting single family along the far east edge of the development that would correlate with the single family subdivision to the east, and then also transition to some two family and then to the multifamily all the way to the west. Again, this is another alternative that we had. The developer has actually been looking at this area and has been drafting up some plan proposals for construction for both the residential sides and then also for the industrial sides. We took it and reviewed this area, and we feel that this has a potential for and as a good transition, similar to what we did to the west. And so we're asking the commission to take it and make a recommendation or to set the public hearing that we can send public notice out and publish in the paper for any kind of comment from the public, and also notify within 200 feet for the public hearing. So the zoning areas that we would recommend then for this would be the M3 on the north end for the industrial, and then transition to the RM4 multifamily for the west side, RD2 for the two-family residential, and then RS4 for the single family, which is consistent with the subdivision to the east and south. So if the Plan Commission would find this to be an acceptable change or an alteration, we would ask that you set the public hearing for May 7th of 2024 for the Plan Commission meeting.
So Jim, do we take action to recommend setting that hearing, or do you just look for nods and thumbs up, or how do we do that?
Yeah, so what I'm asking the commission to do is actually to set the public hearing for the May 7th meeting at that time. There we would hold a formal public hearing for the land use change, and then we could hear any comments or concerns that we may have from the neighborhood or whatnot, and then proceed after that with another public hearing for the actual zoning to establish that. So that's the next step, and then after Plan Commission's recommendation, then we move forward to council for final adoption.
I'll move to set the hearing for May 7th.
Second.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Chris. This is a motion to set the public hearing to May 7th, which is our next Plan Commission meeting. Any comments, questions on that?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Matt.
Jim, when you do the notification, are you just doing the 200 or are you doing like the subdivision there?
So we would typically just do the 200 feet. I did look at the area already, and I did add a few additional lots for the subdivision to the south. We're not going to notify the entire subdivision, but we would notify the ones that are at least directly within the 200 feet.
Okay.
Jim? I would assume then that the residential, it would expand off of Kingfisher Drive there?
Yeah, so right now, the way everything is being proposed is that Kingfisher Drive would extend all the way up to Progress.
Oh, go all the way through.
And that, right, so that would help facilitate us for utility connections for water and then also for sewer.
Okay.
Jed?
Would that 200 feet encompass at least the properties on Eagles that are contiguous, that are adjacent to this area in question?
Yes, so basically the west side of Eagles Court would definitely be involved. And then portions south, a couple of them on Heron and Kingsfisher would also be affected in there too.
Okay, thanks.
Justice?
As usual, Jed, you're kind of looking at the same thing I am. What would the harm be in just getting that whole neighborhood?
Yeah, if the commission wants us to, that's not a problem. We could do the entire subdivision.
I mean, it's contained enough. I mean,
Sure.
it would be a pretty clear line just to draw it around the whole neighborhood there.
Yep,
That-
we can do that.
Awesome.
We can notify the neighborhood then.
yeah, if anybody else agrees with that, you know,
We can easily do that if that's
Awesome.
how the commission wants us to notify, we'll notify that way.
I'm sure you all know that that neighborhood, that Heron Drive eventually dead ends in a cul-de-sac there. It's not like it goes on forever, so it's,
yeah.
could we have maybe an amended motion to set the public hearing and also to include the entire neighborhood there in the notification? What's the name of the neighborhood again?
That would be the
I don't know.
Rolling Hills subdivision.
Rolling Hill subdivision. Could I have maybe a motion in that
So
effect?
moved.
Thank you, Justice. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Jed, so thank you. So the motion is to set the public hearing and notify the entire Rolling Hills subdivision of the public hearing. Any comments, questions, discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And our last item is a discussion and recommendation to set a public hearing for a change in the recommended land use from an institutional to commercial in the 2020 comprehensive plan for the city of West Bend for approximately 2.4 acres of land located at 320 and 340 South Fifth Avenue by the city of West Bend.
Thank you. So this land use request is to change both the land use and the zoning for the 2.4 acres. This is the Washington County, the old courthouse building, which is now the museum. Ownership changes have changed over from the county to a not-for-profit entity. They're looking at the request to change this to help facilitate for the rezoning from the commercial to, or I should say, from the institutional to a commercial use. This is used as also a museum and also as an event center. So as part of that, they'd like to get a liquor license for their event center for hosting various events and whatnot. So in order to do that, we would need to change the zoning and the use. Staff feels that it's, since the change has actually occurred for the ownership and the use has changed slightly over time, that it's not inappropriate to actually look at the zoning and the land use for this area and to move that change to help facilitate them for their use. So staff would ask that the commission consider this change and again, set the public hearing for the May 7th meeting, there to hear the land use change and then also to consider the zoning change also.
Thank you, Jim. So I will entertain a motion to set the public hearing on this for May 7th.
I would motion to set that for May 7th.
Thank you, Scott. Is there a second? Thank you, Paul, for the second. Any comments, questions, discussion? Jed?
I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but, well, my concern is because this is high up, noise carries, and we have a lot of single-family area around this. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to do anything, but changing it from institutional commercial, does that open the door to other uses of the exterior? The parking lot or the grass?
I don't think it would change much as an event space as it is now, even though it's zoned the institutional.
Does the zoning to commercial open up other uses?
Like an outdoor block party or something?
It
Ferris wheel, like
Yeah.
like we heard.
Yeah, I mean, it does open up, for the different uses, for the actual property, but the main use is still the museum and as an event space. Even under the institutional part, they could still have outdoor events that would go on, so that still wouldn't stop anything from that.
Okay, thanks.
Just a curiosity, that doesn't change the status on the tax roll or property value or anything like that, does it?
No.
No, okay, all right.
Any more comments, questions, discussion? We've got a motion to set the public hearing for May 7th. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Well, our next Plan Commission meeting will be on May 7th. And we'll have a couple of public hearings and whatever else is brought before us. Thank you all. That's the end of our agenda, and we will adjourn.